This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to Around the World in 80 Minutes, a podcast series based on the book Around the World in 80 Years by Julie Woods, that's me, illustrated by Ron Esplin, that's you.
Me. Yes.
In these 8 10-minute podcasts, we are going to cover the 80 countries that artist and adventurer Ron Esplin visited by the time he was 80. Welcome to your first decade, Ron. This is the first podcast in the series of 8, and we are looking at the years from 1944 to 1954. You were born a few hundred footsteps away from Edinburgh Castle on the 8th of December 1944, Ronald Macmillan Esplin. Your father Tom, mother Edith, Brother Clark and you all headed to the north of Scotland when your father got a job as the art teacher at Buckie High School. Your sister Jennifer came along, and in 1952 your father was awarded an Andrew Grant Scholarship, which meant that he got to swap with an art teacher in a Commonwealth country, and Tom chose Otago Boys High School, Dunedin, New Zealand. This saw you go on an adventure on a ship across the Atlantic Ocean, down the Panama Canal, over the Pacific, before arriving in Dunedin, where you would spend the year. You returned to Scotland 1 year on, and in 1954 the family emigrated once again by ship over to New Zealand. You had travelled 1.5 times around the world by the time you were 10. What is the illustration that has been chosen for this podcast, Ron?
The illustration is of the RMS Ruahine in the Panama Canal.
You visited 12 countries in your first decade. What are they, please?
Well, there's Scotland, England, of course, Azores, Curacao, Panama, the Pitcairn Islands, Australia, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, Yemen, Italy and Gibraltar.
What was it like to go on a ship when you're just 8 years old and stop at Curacao in the Caribbean?
Well, you just accept whatever circumstances you're in when you're that age. And fortunately, I wasn't one to get seasick or anything like that. I must have had sea legs built into me. My great-grandfather was a ship's chandler, so he was connected to the sea, and we lived near the sea in Buckie. The draw for me, of course, was to be able to see these wonderful countries that I'd read about in the Artemis Encyclopedia. I'd poured through for the whole series of books, seeing pictures of the world, which was such a remote place and such a strange place, but fascinating and exciting and interesting.
You talk about the steel drums?
Well, that's right. That was in... where was that?
Curacao.
Curacao, thank you. And of course, in Curacao, Willemstad is the capital. It was a Dutch. It's in the Dutch Lesser Antilles in the Caribbean Sea, and that was populated by the Dutch, which happened to many countries around that area, and it was also populated because by around the Caribbean, many people who are from different races, and I don't think I'd ever seen anyone who's a different colour from me, and they were just a lot of fun. They have music built into them. They had a steel band when we were in Willemstad, and they were playing the music in that wonderful way that only steel bands can sound, and they also had jumping beans, which was a curiosity to a child of my age, where the bean would jump up and down. And it certainly is a bit of a magic trick if you don't know that it's actually a worm inside that has infected the nut, and it jumps around inside when it's before it's about to pupate. And the whole nut rises up into the air, and it's an incredible sight.
You also hadn't seen a banana?
No, my brother actually was the first one to confront a banana, and he had no idea how you would get into a banana. Had to be told that you take the skin off.
You spent the year in Dunedin before heading back again on another ship, going this time a different way. You visited Sri Lanka on your return trip.
Yes, it was called Ceylon in those days, and it was pretty amazing to visit because there were elephants in the street. That was pretty unusual. I'd never seen that before. Also, of course, it's a tea nation, and they harvest lots of tea, and you could see the women mainly in the fields harvesting the tea in big bags over their backs. These were amazing sights for such a young boy.
Well, that leads us to Yemen. I mean, gosh, what was your impression?
Well, Yemen, we went to refuel because we were about to go through the Suez Canal. And, of course, this is the Middle East, and much later on it would be a place that you couldn't go to at all. In fact, not that much later on, because the Suez Canal was closed when a ship was sunk in the middle of it, and other ships couldn't get through. And that was the case for a very long time, so it was indeed a privilege to go through the Suez Canal when it was open.
You got to visit Pompeii on the way back as well, at the foot of Italy?
Yes, down in Italy, in where the Mount Vesuvius is, Pompeii and Herculaneum. It was a very sobering sight to see the destruction that had been caused by the re-eruption. And one thing that sits in my mind was what would happen was the lava would catch people in whatever they were doing. It was fast running and absolutely instantly deadly. And the body, of course, was consumed by the heat, and the lava would solidify in the shape of whoever it was. And there was a little dog that had this fate, and it was complete in every way, just looked like a lovely little dog. But of course it was merely the cast of the lava when it had dried up and solidified.
You had lovely monkeys at Gibraltar.
Ah, the macaques. I don't think I'd seen monkeys until that point. And my brother and I were fascinated by them, and we could be given bags of nuts and food for them. And, of course, the monkeys knew what was going on. We weren't quite so bright as they were, and they saw the bags, and they went straight for those bags because they knew that's where the food was. Anyway, we had a great fun feeding them. They say that the macaques have been there for many years. The British, of course, it's a protectorate, a British protectorate, and the rumour is, or the saying is, that when the macaques leave, the British will leave Gibraltar. So far, it hasn't happened. Did
you tell them you were born on the year of the monkey?
No, I didn't, but that's an interesting point I should have told them. I'm sure they would have been exceptionally impressed.
I think they probably noticed. You, of course, returned to Scotland and then came back and emigrated 1 year later to New Zealand. You've been listening to Around the World in 80 Minutes with Julie Woods and Ron Esplin. If you would like to contact Ron, you can do so by sending him an email to ronesplinartist@gmail.com, or you can phone or text him on 021 358 082. This is podcast 1 of 8. We look forward to seeing you back here for podcast 2. I'm that blind woman, Julie Woods, proud sponsor of Around the World in 80 Minutes. After going blind in 1997, I said why not so many times. I am now a professional speaker, author, advocate and coach. If you're looking for someone to help you or your team turn your no into why not, then why not send me an email to julie@thatblindwoman.co.nz or phone or call me on 021 913 513. Why not?
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.